When I was a young officer, we were responding very few radio calls dealing with family law, very few calls related to custody, divorce, and so on. Fast forward 15 years, and now 100% of our radio calls on certain days and times are related to custody, not just for a few hours, not just a few cars, but the whole day. All the shifts are related to family law. On the weekends, starting from Friday through Sundays, and sometimes even Monday mornings, we look like child care centers. So many people are coming to the police station to exchange the children in a safe location. And that doesn't even go into the number of child abuse investigations that we currently do. I'm not talking about valid child abuse investigations, I'm talking about false child abuse allegations. And some of these restraining orders are issued based on false information. And the courts rule, of course, erring on the side of caution, but we now know that a tremendous number of restraining orders and police reports and allegations of child abuse are false. I started my own research to kind of try to figure out what is this craziness that's going on. And I actually identified that family law is probably responsible for 25% of the crime in the United States. The actual number could be even much higher. And the impact of family law and divorce and custody doesn't just stop, at the courts or stop at the families or stop at the police department. It affects businesses, it affects hospitals, it affects schools. In the United States, we have whole departments set up not for the education of children or to better the classroom instruction or materials, but to handle divorce custody cases where parents are enrolling the children, unenrolling the children, taking the children from school, coming on school grounds, violating court orders, and the schools there not knowing what to do. Social services, our criminal justice system, from all these allegations. We have people that go to prison in some cases for years. One person was released after serving 19 years of prison after his adult daughter came forward and said, "No, I lied, my father never abused me." Now that happens to mothers too, but more allegations are filed against fathers. He died 6 to 8 months afterwards. And then there's the other aspect of the financial markets, people whose homes are repossessed or foreclosed on, cars, credit cards, bank. It's a ripple effect, and it doesn't just stop in the United States. Parental alienation exists in nearly every civilized country. I think what we're really talking about is a perfect storm where socially we've gone from mothers primarily getting custody to now joint custody, and I support joint custody, shared custody, so that the children can have a relationship with both parents. That's the best system. We know from studies on abducted children, what does a family at risk look like? They were looking for answers. What puts a child more at risk? And so we've known for years that the enforcement of court orders is how we establish reliability and healthy relationships by holding parents accountable. And we've sort of lost that responsibility. We have lawlessness now. Perjury in our courtrooms is rampant with no consequences. Violation of court orders is rarely ruled on. And child support is another issue. We're robbing, in most cases, the ability of both parents to support the children. And we're giving it all to one parent. Two parents are supposed to be having time with the children. And my perspective, and it's harsh, but it's probably due to my background, is if the children are not being allowed to spend time with both parents, the parent who's paying child support, if they're being denied, they should not have to pay child support. We need built-in consequences to ensure that child goes. I understand all the arguments, but the reality is we've taken away the ability to hold the parent with the power of the children to see both parents. And if we don't put consequences in place, if we don't put boundaries in place to hold them responsible, then how can we expect that they will ensure the relationship? We can't, and that's what we're seeing, is a total breakdown. And it's not just happening in family law, in society in general. We have a responsibility, and we have the research that says the sooner we get to families, the sooner we say, you did not ensure the children went to the other parent. The sooner we establish the reliability of the court orders and the safety of the children. We're allowing parents the ability to go forward, to go on with their lives. Because divorce, it should be an opportunity for both parents to parent the children in the manner and method in which they prefer, separate of the other person. It's not supposed to be World War III. It's the opportunity to start over with what's the most important thing in your life. That's your children. It's your legacy. It's your responsibility. So the other aspect when we talk about family is the other innocent people who had nothing to do with the divorce, nothing to do with custody issues that are impacted. We have the largest mass shooting in the history of Orange County by a gentleman who was deprived of custody after many years fighting in court. And he shot and killed 8 or 9 people who had nothing to do with his divorce or custody. He did kill the mother, but he killed all the people walking to the business. We're seeing mass shootings related to family law on a scale we never could have anticipated, and the effects that we so rarely discuss as I went into. And what I really was shocked and taken by surprise was, oh my God, this affects every person in one way or another, not just grandmothers and grandfathers and aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, but it affects teachers, it affects nurses, it affects police officers, it affects everyone. It's a ripple effect. There's no recognition. Temporary orders should not be temporary orders because sometimes families can't get back to court for 5 years. So if you don't put Christmas in there, you're depriving one parent of Christmas for 5 years. 5 years, they'll never get back with their child. So we aren't doing a good job, and the courts themselves are so overwhelmed that they can't dig themselves out. We have attorneys for the children. Each party gets an attorney to start off with. Eventually they run out of money, they start representing themselves in court. They go back, they don't get out of court until their children turn 18. You know, they age out. So I tell a family, when they go in at 2.5, you may be there until your children are 18. This is not a short process, especially in high conflict families and parental alienation, which are becoming more deadly. And the worst part about it, these are people who live next door to you. They're family members. They're people who may not even have a traffic ticket, may have never committed a crime. We're not talking about people with long pages of criminal history. We're talking about people you interact with every day, people who commit horrific crimes before they even get into court, because the method and manner in which we rule in court is so devastating before even the first court date. I have some of my clients go to court wearing a police vest, a bulletproof vest. I put security teams on some of my people. They don't know who the security teams are going to be. In one case, we almost did that. It was going to be very low profile. We had a driver drop them off at the court building because we didn't even want them walking from the police parking lot to the building. The risk was so heavy. I have parents set up safety rooms in their homes so that they and the children go. And I'm not talking about, you know, again, people with long criminal histories. We're talking about everyday people. And now safety plans are a regular part of my coaching. And that's happened over, you know, the past 16 years. We're talking to parents about wasp spray and pepper spray and bulletproof vests and safety rooms. That's a picture of the future that is still evolving. And we're going to see increases in every aspect of crime if we don't start addressing these issues. And it starts with the simple act of enforcing court orders when it's at the easiest stage initially. And we need to start protecting families by enforcing the law at the first stage and prosecuting for perjury and prosecuting for false police reports and prosecuting for false child abuse. In 40 years that I've been working with family law, because, you know, I've seen it all. But do you know how many cases I've seen where we've actually prosecuted for people, or even DEAs, we've gone to them? 2 in the city of Los Angeles. 2. And by the way, neither one got prosecuted. It's a get out of jail free card when you go to family law, not a you will follow the court orders. So why are we making people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars? I have some millionaires that I've worked with that are devastated. They're broke. They're sleeping on people's couches. The courts have a responsibility to enforce the court orders. Homicides, suicides, abduction are directly related to the method and manner in which we function.